Whole grains are foods that contain all parts of the seed, the bran, germ, and endosperm in its original form. You know if a food contains whole grain when the first ingredient on the food label has the word whole. Take bread as an example. Just because the bread is brown doesn't mean it's made with whole grain. Bread may be called multigrain, 9-grain, or wheat, but that doesn't mean that it's made with whole grain. Even if a product says made with whole grain across the front of the package, doesn't mean that it's made with enough whole grain to be nutritionally significant. Remember, the first ingredient listed on the food label is the only reliable indicator for whole grains. Next time you're at the grocery store, check the food label of your favorite cereals, breads, pastas, and granola bars. Once purchased, there are steps you can take to make your whole grains last longer. Store grains and flours in airtight containers. Label them with the purchase date, as they should be used within 3 months or up to 6 months if stored in the refrigerator. There are hundreds of ways to prepare meals with whole grains. Many of the foods you already use can be substituted for whole grain versions, like rice, pasta, bread, cereal, crackers, and more. But you can also buy whole grains themselves and cook them like you would rice. No matter which grain you choose, the basic cooking method is the same. First, bring the grain and cooking liquid to a boil. Lower the heat and cover. Let cook until tender. Try not to peek or stir. Let sit covered and away from heat for about 10 minutes. Uncover and fluff with a fork. Estimated cook times vary between grains. Use this table to cook popular, inexpensive grains. In general, larger grains will take longer to cook. You can save time with whole grains by cooking a large batch once and using it throughout the week. Cooked whole grains can be stored in the refrigerator for 3 to 5 days or frozen for up to 6 months. Let the grains cool completely and divide into pint-size or quart-size freezer bags. Press flat and stack in the freezer. To reheat your grains for use, heat them in the microwave or on the stove with a small amount of water. Now let's make a meal using our newly discovered whole grains. Today's recipe is a 1-dish chicken and grain meal. The chicken breasts are cooked in broth and spices and mixed with nutty, flavorful grains and hearty vegetables. This recipe calls for very simple ingredients and only uses 1 dish, which means less mess. Brown rice, barley, farro, and quinoa are all grains that would work well in this recipe. Today we're going to be using barley. And I'd encourage you to cook your grains ahead of time so that you have faster meal prep during the week. So let's get started. Preheat the oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and move the rack to the lower half of the oven. Trim the fat off 4 boneless, skinless chicken breasts. Season the chicken with 1 teaspoon of black pepper. Drizzle a glass 9x13 pan with olive oil. Brush the oil so that it covers the bottom of the pan evenly. Place the chicken breasts in the pan, being careful not to overlap them. Place the dish in the oven and set a timer for 5 minutes. While the chicken cooks, chop a zucchini and 2 Roma tomatoes. When the chicken is ready, use tongs to turn the chicken breasts over and add the rest of the ingredients. 3 finely chopped cloves of garlic, 3/4 cup diced onion, 1 cup unsalted chicken broth, 1/2 cup tomato sauce, 1 teaspoon Italian seasoning, 1 tablespoon lemon juice, and the chopped zucchini and tomatoes. Let the mixture cook for 45 minutes. Then add 1 cup of barley or another cooked whole grain of your choice and let it bake for 5 more minutes. Remove from the oven and your dinner is ready. The full recipe is available on our website, www.mchcp.org.